Hi Year 9, Mr. Tapley here for your next lesson of Year 9 Humanities. This lesson we are looking at developing our understanding of our selected cat research topic. So in the previous lesson I introduced the different cat topics, the options you guys have, and the goal of last lesson was to select a topic. So by this time you should have a topic, and this lesson is really about getting some research done to prepare for your cat next week. Success criteria: effectively manage time, ask questions, and record reliable and relevant research on a global crisis. The global issues you may investigate for the cat include climate change, poverty, food security, water availability of clean drinking water, gender equality, and children's health and education. The remainder of class time this week will be provided to students for independent research on their cat topic. This is an independent assessment. You guys are being assessed independently, so I don't want to see you guys copying notes off your mate if they're doing a similar topic. Use these lessons effectively to prepare for the cat. Make your lives a bit easier. Towards the end of the term, you don't want to be stressed and working late into the night or on the weekends. You can get this cat done in school, in class time, if you use your time wisely. In any assessment, the difference between an average and an excellent effort relies on your supporting evidence. Your arguments need statistics, examples, details, etc. A lot of people are capable of writing well, but they don't back up their arguments, they don't support their writing with statistics, with proof, with evidence, examples, etc. You really need to have a dedicated period of research before you write out an essay, a report, or a letter to Parliament. Parliament's not going to believe you. Prime Minister's going to say, why should I bother changing? You haven't really proven anything. So you need to include some numbers, some examples to support your topic. The cat will assess your knowledge of the global issue. So what is the problem? The detail and accuracy of your research. So have you included supporting evidence? How much? Is it accurate, or are you just making up numbers? And your understanding of global citizenship. That is, evaluating if Australia is upholding its global responsibilities and addressing this global crisis, because that's what the unit is really about, whether or not Australia is an effective global citizen. Now, to guide your research efforts and organize your research under different subheadings. This will help you next week when you need to arrange your information into different paragraphs of your letter to Parliament. So again, the cat is a letter to Parliament, to the Australian Parliament, that we'll be sending off. We sent them off last year, the year before. We've gotten responses as well from the Prime Minister. Obviously it'll be a bit different this year because you guys are typing them up, but we'll figure something out. So you're writing a letter, and the aim of that letter is to inform and persuade. So here is the issue. I'm going to educate you, Mr. Prime Minister. And here is my goal. I want you to be a better global citizen, basically. So the 3 paragraphs that you're going to have in your letter, the 3 subheadings that you'll use for your research, are the things that you're being assessed on, basically. So number 1, what is the global issue? So that's how your letter will start. So, dear Mr. Prime Minister, I want to talk to you about climate change, or I want to talk to you about poverty. And then you explain the topic, what are the causes, define the key terms, so what is climate change, etc., etc. The second paragraph is when you start dropping in that evidence I was talking about. So why is this a problem? Why is climate change a problem? Why do we need food security, etc., etc.? So this is where you put in the effects, the consequences of not addressing the issue. So what happens if we don't do this? So you include statistics, evidence, the audience, so who is being impacted by these problems, because it's probably going to be Australians, but also the world, because these are global issues. And that's a nice little connector, nice link into your third paragraph, which is assessing whether or not Australia is being a global citizen. So why is this a global concern? Why is this a global problem? And evaluate whether or not Australia is doing enough to fix the problem. So here's what Australia is doing on climate change, Mr. Prime Minister. It's not enough. Or here's what Australia is doing for poverty. We need to do this, this, and this. So this is a global problem. We need to be a global citizen. So you can link in stuff from the United Nations. So we looked at foreign aid a couple of lessons ago, and we said that the United Nations said that all member nations need to have 0.7% of their income going to foreign aid, and Australia is at 0.2. So that would obviously be us not being a global citizen. So you need to evaluate this stuff. You need to say, are we doing a good job, yes or no, and why? To create an informative and persuasive argument, you need research from a variety of reliable and relevant sources. The CAT rubric will be introduced next week, and you will need to include a resource list to confirm the accuracy of your research. It's not going to be a formal, complicated bibliography, but you still need to have a list of the resources that you use to prepare your CAT, so I can confirm the accuracy of your research, or you'll just be making up numbers. A list of support resources have been provided below. However, you will need additional sources. You can't just say, for your resource list, Mr. Tapley gave me some sites. You need to actually do a bit of research yourself. Find stuff that is reliable, so it's coming from a good source, it's informative, it's not someone's opinion, it's based on facts and science, and it is recent and relevant. So it's stuff not from the 1800s, not from the Industrial Revolution. This is information about, water availability from 2020 or 2015, or in university they consider recent stuff to be anything in the last 10 years. I'm willing to push it back to 15 or 20. So as long as the year that it was found starts with a 2, I'm happy. But the more recent, the better, obviously. So you can see I've got a couple of resources for each of the major topics there. It's also important to note that the CAT requires you to connect this topic to Australian global citizenship efforts. So make sure that when you're doing some research, you need some global information, obviously, to explain why it's a global problem. But you should also be looking at Australian information. So what is Australia doing for this global problem? So that you can assess, you can evaluate whether or not we are being a global citizen. Just for some more timeline information, I guess. So the CAT rubric will be introduced next week. I'll also be giving you a letter planning, like a template, basically. So fill in the blanks here, here, and here. Here's what you're writing for paragraph 1, 2, and 3. And that's essentially your rough draft, I suppose, and that will be your dev task for citizenship. So I'll give you the rubric and the dev template next week, and then you'll have all of next week to complete that. I will mark them over the weekend, lucky me, and then the CAT will be completed in the final week of term 3 in week 10. So you'll have the entire week to work on it, finish it off by the end of the week, in week 10, and then you'll have no homework for the school holidays. That's the plan, at least. If you have any questions or concerns, please let me know. Obviously, if you're having trouble finding research, or you're not sure if your research is reliable and relevant, please let me know. And then next week as well, if you're having trouble with the dev, you need an extension, just shoot me an email, So the CAT will be, spoilers, but it will be due the second last lesson of week 10. So that will mean that students who do need an extension can have an extra lesson added on, and they won't have to do it in the holidays. And it means that students who don't finish it on time, I can chase them up before the holidays, before you run away into hiding. Yeah, so that's all I've got to say, guys. If you have any questions or concerns, shoot me an email. Otherwise, best of luck, hope you're well, and cheers.